Vice President, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, man.
As we've discussed, I'm from Atlanta, and I attribute a lot of my success to being from this city. I spent a little bit of time in D.C. I went to Georgetown for undergrad and for law school, but I eventually came back to Atlanta because I wanted to start a business that was centered around people, around community. I was inspired by another tragic incident in our country's history, the death of Trayvon Martin. And together with one of my college roommates from Georgetown, this business has flourished because of our focus on bringing people together. What's special about the Gathering Spot is that we're more than a space that tolerates Black folks, but really celebrates them. And so my question to you is this: if it's true that you can't truly lead people if you don't love people, how are you going to lead differently as the President of the United States, specifically for Black Americans?
Because I love people. You and I've been to your place twice for extended periods of time. And what you didn't say is it's not only African Americans. Look at all the white leaders you've attracted. Look at all the people you've attracted to becoming part of a community, part of a larger community. I sat there, I don't know, I guess I was in your place maybe a total of 6-7 hours, total of 2 times, everything. And I watched. I went around to the tables. People were there. There were religious leaders, Black and white, using your place to gather. There were young entrepreneurs, Black and white and Asian, looking at your place to gather. It's about doing things together. And the fact is that, look, I have never found it to be the case where my judgment about someone, whether I care about them, has anything other than to do with their humanity. My dad used to have a single phrase. He said, Joey, everybody's entitled to be treated with dignity, no matter what the circumstance. I have no idea what it's like to be treated in a prejudiced way as a Black man. But I do know what it's like to be humiliated, because when I was a kid, I used to stutter a little like that. I'm used to bullies. I'm used to people who take advantage of people. I'm used to people who, in fact, just try to exert power for their own egotistical reasons. And so that's the part of me. In my household, you could never, ever, 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 ever say, you get in a fight with somebody, you could never say anything about them that was true. You couldn't say if they were 300 pounds, you couldn't say you're fat. You couldn't say you're skinny. You shouldn't say you're short. You could say if they're brilliant, you could say you're dumb. If they're what, but you could never say anything that they had nothing to do with having to have put upon themselves.
And so that must have made you a very creative sparrer, I guess. You had to come up with a lot of quick things to say that weren't true.
Yeah, you did. But all kidding aside, Don, I mean, if we ever turned and said something, if somebody was homely and they did something really mean and you said you're ugly, you'd be in real trouble in my house, for real. None of my kids, my grandkids, or any, it's a tradition in our family, because you know what it's like to be victimized. Not like I'm not equating it to being a Black man, but I'm equating to realizing who it is you care about. Everybody. You know, I really do believe, I mean, I don't want to proselytize, but I do believe we're all God's children for real. I really believe that. And I believe we're all created equal. The problem is, are we all going to be treated equally? It's about being treated equally. The President of the United States must be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I'm not going to fan the flames of hate. I'm going to speak to heal racial differences. Look, let me conclude this by saying, and because I want to get in a larger conversation with everybody, conclude it by saying this. I think that if you think about it, the words of a president matter, no matter who the president is. A president of the United States can send a nation to war. It can bring peace. He or she can make the market go up or down. He can also he can encourage people to do bad things. What he or she says. How many of your friends do you know have children who, when the president comes on there, they pull them away from the TV? Right. Not a joke. Think about it. Think about it. So it really matters. It really matters. Hate didn't begin with Donald Trump. It's not going to end with him. The history of our country is not a fairy tale. It doesn't guarantee a happy ending. But as I said earlier, we're in a battle for the soul of this nation that has been a constant push and pull for over 200 years. I call every American to ask them the following, okay, is this who we are, what we're seeing now? Is this who we want to be? Is this what would pass on to our kids and our grandkids? You know, I'll do my job and take responsibility, but I won't blame others. I'll never forget that a job isn't about me, it's about you. Is that how we teach it our kids? I work not only to rebuild this nation, but to build it better, stronger, and more inclusive, more resilient than it really was. Look, if elected, my view is that we'll have to address these issues straight on. And the words the president says matter. So when a president stands up and divides people all the time, you're going to get the worst of us to come out, the worst in us all to come out. This president constantly talks about equality without lecturing, talks about and has administrations that looks like the country and the rest. It changes attitudes. And it's about the attitude of the country. Do we want our kids, do we really think this is as good as we can be as a nation? I don't think the vast majority of people think that. There are probably anywhere from 10 to 15% of the people out there that are just not very good people. But that's not who we are. The vast majority of the people are decent. We have to appeal to that, and we have to unite people, bring them together. Bring them together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you. And also thank you, Ryan, for your question.